Welcome everybody to Business Monday. I'm Josh Fenton here in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center on a little bit of a gloomy day. I think everybody's a little sleepy after the Patriots and Red Sox double win last night. I want to welcome Mike Coffey from Right Solutions, software extraordinaire company down in Middletown. Let's talk a little about business.
Sure.
Things are good.
Things are good, yes.
Yeah.
We're about a 200-person company in Middletown, right on the Newport line, right outside the gate of the Undersea Warfare Center. We've been around for about 19 years, and we're running on all cylinders right now.
That's great. A lot of your work is software contract work, where you're developing specialized software for the Navy and other governmental entities.
That's exactly right. We have a variety of customers, but all in the Navy space at the moment. From the government side of our business, we work for the Undersea Warfare Center, for NAVSEA, which is the command of the Warfare Center, the Naval Sea Systems Command. We also work for a program executive office for enterprise systems, where we have a large multiple award contract that we do business system software development, which is kind of a new thing for us, Navy business systems. So we do tactical systems, we do business systems, and we also do some commercial software development and in the commercial space. Right now our primary customer there is General Electric Transportation.
So that's always interesting when you're dealing with GE these days, right?
Right, exactly, because they were just absorbed. As a matter of fact, we kind of had to wait for a contract to come through with them while all that was being worked out, but it came to fruition and we're really happy about it.
So you thought you had all stability with the Navy and GE, and then and the world changes.
The commercial space is a lot less stable and a lot more fluctuating, but it's also so worth it from a financial standpoint to make investments, and it's far more profitable and that sort of thing. So we really try to leverage what we do on the government side in the commercial space, and vice versa. The things we learn commercially, we bring back to the government.
So you've got 200 folks, and you've got couple dozen job vacancies.
Right.
Is that the biggest challenge right now, is recruiting?
It certainly is one of the biggest challenges, because we take a lot of pride in building high-performing teams. We have a really high degree of customer satisfaction, and we want to maintain that. So yeah, building those teams, we're blessed with a lot of very strong senior developers around whom we can build these teams. So that's been kind of our methodology. We'll take one or two folks that we have performing on something, give them a leadership role elsewhere, build a team around them, and then go on to the next one, kind of like that.
Great.
We're also, I forgot to mention too, we're also very strong in the IT and cybersecurity space, which of course is such an important thing these days. Cybersecurity is crucial for everything and every business. So we're very strong there because we basically building off the experience that we have supporting the Undersea Warfare Center as their IT provider support contractor. So we just won our recompete in that area, and that was really big news for our company because it represents about 70 employees and an awful lot of what we do.
So with Rhode Island's got a 4% roughly unemployment rate, the country's at 3.9 or something like that. What's the competition to getting good, smart, sometimes young, developing talent to A, look at Rhode Island, B, look at Middletown, Newport? I mean, I'm sure you can sell the Newport experience, certainly for about 9 months a year. That's got to be a winning formula. Talk about that, and how's that going, and is that really the long-term key to the growth of Right Solutions?
Well, I think it really is. I mean, the people we bring in now are crucial to our environment. When we were talking earlier, I was talking how difficult it is to attract mid-level talent, and that's absolutely the case. However, we've been very, very fortunate on the junior front. The folks that we're bringing in from URI and from UMass Dartmouth, Johnson Wales, several of the other locals. Roger Williams,
Yeah.
we just got a new recruit from. Very, very lucky that way, because the people that we're bringing in seem to be keepers, and they want to stick around. So we've really tried to nurture these relationships. We talk about strategies in terms of going to job fairs and who to send, and how to get the best resumes, and we've been very lucky that way. We do compete with Raytheon, with the Undersea Warfare Center and the government side, with a lot of commercial entities. Obviously, Providence is booming. Electric Boat is a big competitor, and plus there are many small companies around Quinnipiac Island, small businesses that are very strong. So it's the fact is that there's just a tremendous amount of competition, and it's and we try to differentiate ourselves. As a small software developer, that's attractive to computer science grads for sure. We offer a lot of latitude. We both in terms of the hours worked and that kind of thing, and also try to make it a very user-friendly environment, a people-friendly environment. Our founders really emphasize the principle of friends enjoying work in our workspace, and the idea of creating something different. And both those things, innovation and the idea of having fun at work, having access to your senior managers, being able to move from job to job, all those things seem to appeal to people.
That's great. Where's the company going strategically? You're 200 folks, most of them in Rhode Island. You do have some offices, Newport News, support some Navy initiatives, DC. Do you see, let's just go out 3 years, it's impossible to go out 5 years in any business anymore. Let's go out 3 years, 36 months. Are you still 90% government related, or are you more diversified? And are you still so tied to the Navy, or are you also in other contracts within other governmental federal agencies?
Tremendous question. We're really trying to diversify. We're looking at different government agencies, and even within the Navy, Nav Air would be totally different than Nav Sea.
Yeah, totally.
The Defense Investigative Service Agency has a lot of IT kinds of contracts. There's just numerous.
And it's got to be. If you guys are doing great work in cybersecurity, that's applicable to almost any federal agency, as well as to corporate work and doing.
Exactly.
Because it's the bugaboo for almost every company now.
And it's the other thing that's really true is software development is also a capability that we migrate, because we have we're a CMMI level 3 capability maturity model level 3 company. That's unusual for a small business, right? And so that means that we have really strict processes repeatable processes by which we develop software. And we found that we can develop software just for any occasion. We look at ourselves as integrators, and our value proposition as a company is that we can do what the big guys do for substantially less. So we do see ourselves growing. I mean, that is that's sort of the goal that we've been given by our founders. The guys that they hired to run the company in their retirement. They want us to build a bigger, stronger, and happier outfit. And interestingly enough, we're finding that. From a cultural standpoint, it's been fairly easy to maintain, in fact, to even try and enhance, because the young folks that we've brought on, the last 15 or so junior hires that we've had, really embrace the culture a lot and have taken it and made it their own, so that's been pretty neat to see.
Talk a little bit about blockchain, the implication of blockchain, and is that becoming a factor in how you're thinking about software development?
We are a little bit, just getting into that right now, and frankly, I'd be the wrong person to ask about it. So, that our chief technology officer, who should have been here, would have been a really good person to ask.
We'll get next time.
Yeah, get him next time, Tom.
Absolutely.
But we, it obviously is a movement. We just haven't figured out exactly how to make it ours yet.
Doing business in Rhode Island, I think, listen, it's good times right now. Everybody's making a little bit of money or making a lot of money. I think in many business sectors, the limiting factors is hiring. I think most people are seeing. And there's some other external factors to some business segments. But how do you see Rhode Island as a place to conduct business? And can you become an epicenter for software? You know, you downplay it because you're playing at the national level. You're a 200-person firm doing software in Rhode Island. You're probably one of the top 2 or 3 software firms in Rhode Island. It might be the largest software firm in Rhode Island.
I think Raytheon might.
Well, but they're part of another entity. But
Right.
just
Yeah,
straight
that's
up,
true.
as a freestanding software company, you're one of the largest in Rhode Island.
Well, we do pretty well on that front, yeah. As a place to do business, it's interesting. I think it's as fine a place as you could possibly imagine. Of course, I grew up in Tiverton, and I live in South Kingstown, so I'm pretty prejudiced. But you know, I haven't seen any advantages in particular that other states have. I think one of the things that we want to continue to do is nurture our relationship with the University of Rhode Island, because they're doing such great things on the computer science front right now. You know, I remember a few years ago, I worked for Northrop Grumman for years, and we were recruiting over there, and you know, there were 21 grads from the computer science department any given year, 22, some ridiculously low number. And now it's in the hundreds, you know, and they're producing, you know, what we would call in the defense industry full-up rounds. They're ready to go, you know, and that's been pretty neat. I think that, you know, that's something that we need to do even better, you know. So as we continue to, you know, find the touch points at the university, and George Nicolopoulos, who's the director of outreach, has been just fantastic in terms of getting us involved in things, you know, at the university. So that's been good.
And part of that is keeping Rhode Island kids or out-of-state kids who come into university from moving away. And Rhode Island actually, despite the number of colleges, is one of the lowest in percentage. Providence DMA is the second lowest in the country in retaining college grads to stay in the marketplace, at about only retain about 30% the Providence DMA. The Wavemaker program that you work with Commerce Corporation on gives you at least an ability to tap into and use that as a recruiting tool to be able to keep some folks here.
That's been a great resource for us. I think we've had 6 or 7 young folks recently take advantage of the Wavemaker program. That keeps them, you know, it sort of binds them to the state for a little while, but the state's paying off their college loans. I mean, you can't beat that. And so I think we're very, very proud of our Wavemakers, because that's exactly what kind of people they are, you know. And they're getting it done. It's a very appropriately named and very well-funded program, and not everybody knows about it.
No. Although the woman who runs the program was on one day, and I apologize for not remembering her name. She might be the greatest whirlish derby of high energies. It's like the Tasmanian devil of just go out and promote it and tap into everybody. And
I met her at URI.
Yeah, she's tremendous, right? And then the other program is the Voucher program. That gives you another kind of toolkit to be able to grow and expand and get some stuff done.
Yeah, you're talking about the Innovation Voucher program, and yes, we're huge fans of that. And there's it's an interesting dilemma out there, right? You know, we're renowned as, or well known as an innovator, as a company that does things differently from a software standpoint, creating things. We've even created a tool, an environment where people can go and innovate, you know, that kind of thing. So that's one of our founders in particular was just completely enamored of that idea. So, you know, but innovation is like, okay, you can't go say, okay, Josh, innovate now, right? It doesn't quite work that way.
I've tried it. It doesn't work as a manager. No.
So, although that would be a great name for a company, right?
That's right.
And these days, innovation is like, it's like, okay, that's over, you know, on to the next thing. And so, you know, we're in a make versus buy mode all the time. Well, what could be a better vehicle than the Innovation Voucher program, where the state or the Commerce Corporation funds you know, these applications to go do something wild and crazy. But you use university resources to do that. So our first innovation voucher was about machine learning and about predicting the occurrence of network failures in a complicated network, and using algorithms and that that cycle through tons and tons and tons of data to be able to do the predictive analytics and the, the big data processing that's required to see when a network is going to fail, and then maybe you can do something proactive to prevent that from happening. So we looked at that. In fact, we used our own company data as the model, because data is always the hard part.
Right.
But with an eye toward maybe we can bring this to the defense industry and make it work on submarine combat systems, for example, which is a very complicated network, has failures. And now what do? We wait for them to fail and we kind of react. We monitor, oh, there's a problem, then you go fix it. It'd be much better to have the machine say, you know what, this is an area you're going to look at. Here's a vulnerability. So we're looking. That was a very successful evolution. That was 2017 money. We're looking to continue that with that's Professor Noah Daniels at URI. I want to give him props because a fantastic guy, and we want to do more along those lines. That's something we're not going to go out and invent ourselves. You know? So this is the make versus buy. In this instance, we're buying it with other people's money.
Yeah, that's right. Partner and partner and partner.
Right, and that's when you're a small business, you got to be creative like that to get your innovation, right? You can't always just say, okay, well, I'm just going to spend $200,000 or $1 million or something and go off and think of something that has no functional use, right?
Well, listen, I really appreciate you coming up. First of all, to get anybody off the island to drive all the way to Providence to talk about technology is an
passport punch.
Yeah, that's right. Did you go across? Did you go into a foreign land by going across the Braga Bridge?
No, it was good.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But it's great to hear about the success. We're an innovative entrepreneurial company.
Absolutely.
We try and keep a philosophy of being a startup every single day, and it's great to see companies like Right Solutions growing and prospering. And if your biggest problem is hiring more smart people, that's not a bad place to be. I really want to thank you for coming in. Hang right here. We're going to be right back. I'm going to be back with Frank Tillinghouse from Squad Locker. Another kind of cool tech play, looking on how to leverage sort of online lockers to be able to give apparel to just about every sports league in the country, every team. And if you've run a sports team, the worst thing is dealing with the uniforms and all the other apparel and all the swag. So they've got a cool solution. We'll be right back in about 30 seconds.
Beautiful.
Welcome back, everybody. I am Josh Fenton. You are here in the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center, and it is a little bit of a gray day in downtown Providence. I'm here with Frank Tillinghouse. He is the CFO over at Squad Locker, Warwick-based company. Anybody involved with sports youth sports, high school sports, college sports even, knows the pain and agony of the issue of getting uniforms for their teams. And as a person who has run entire leagues, coached high school teams and all the rest, it is a horrific problem. You guys have kind of built an online store for folks. Talk a little bit about where the inception of it is, and then we'll go and talk about where you guys are.
Yeah.
Where'd the idea come from?
Well, back in the early 2000s.
Back in the 1800s,
yes,
right?
2000s,
it's a long time ago.
We were selling gear and apparel to teams, schools, and leagues under the brand name Turfer Sportswear, a Woonsocket-based company. And we had sort of, Gary Goldberg had always been trying to envision a better way to do it. And as the internet grew up, we started creating manual web stores, which were very difficult, as you know, Josh, to create. And there wasn't really a scalable model. So we envisioned a model where a user could go online, select their own items, upload their logo, upload their roster, and create an instant e-commerce store that could then be shared with their constituents and shopped. And we handle all the back-end production, art creation, et cetera. So that was 2015. We secured our Series A funding round.
And how much did you raise? I think it's hit the media, right?
Yeah, we've raised about 15 million.
Yeah.
In 2 rounds, really 3. We've grown from around 20 employees to about 110 as we sit here today at our Warwick location.
And then a famous building right off Route 2. What was it?
Eclipse Coffee Syrup.
Eclipse Coffee Syrup.
That's right.
The coffee syrup may be gone, but the memories last.
That's right.
Last on.
Yep, it's a great location.
Yeah.
It's a great spot. We do all our own production in that facility. We have a team of artists that basically take anything you can upload and render it in a format that can be used for embroidery or heat-applied graphics to decorate, team gear and apparel. That's custom team gear and apparel for basically everybody. That's what we do.
Great. And it's de facto, I'm the coach, I'm running the league, I go and build a little store, I just open it up, I pick some apparel, and then I upload the list and everybody gets an email and says, pick one of these, and then you handle it all, they pay for it, and it gets shipped right to them.
Yeah, that's right. The biggest thing we did in the last, say, 15 months, the first year and a half was all about architecting the front end and what the store environment looked like, both for the consumer, but also for what we call admins, the people who, like the coach or who makes the store for their constituents. The last year or so, we've really focused on single unit manufacturing. So what that allows us to do is in traditional team gear, maybe you're a soccer mom and you've been tasked with buying the hoodies for the team, and you go around to all the other parents, you say, you give me 25 bucks, you give me
nightmare.
Yeah, we've making that all digital. So in order to do that, in order to not have to wait, Susie orders on day 1 and Jane orders on day 2, in the old days you'd take 2 weeks worth of orders, stop it, produce it, ship it 2 weeks later.
And the store would close.
The store was closed.
Yeah.
If you were Susie who ordered on day 1, you waited a month or more to get your gear and apparel. So we have stores that never close, and we produce orders on single unit manufacturing. So we break everything down to the smallest common denominator so we can get things out. So we have about 50% of our product sales are on shelf. So if you're a returning customer and we have your logo digitized and you've ordered a product that's on shelf, we can generally get that out to you in 5 business days. And then
talk a little bit about how you've been able to, you've built some partnerships, Under Armour and some of the other major apparel companies. How have those partnerships worked? What's been the upside? What's been the downside?
So everyone's familiar with Under Armour, Adidas, and Nike and all those big brands. And
and by the way, the kids want the brands. Of
course.
Right? They don't want Bob's T-shirt company.
Right.
They want swag. They want real swag.
They do, and it ebbs and flows with whether it's Nike and Under Armour, Adidas, and they all have great product, and we offer all of them.
Yeah.
But what you might not know about these guys is that they treat the market differently for like giant retail than they do for team. And we sort of bring a giant retail vibe to the team side. They
get some better pricing.
Better pricing, and they have 12 to 15,000 small mom and pop customers on every corner and every 3-digit zip code in America. and we kind of help them by democratizing this process. And the same way that 20 years ago there was a little pad printer who did business cards and stationery in every town in America, and now companies like Vistaprint and Moo have owned those spaces.
Yeah, right.
That's sort of what we see Squad Locker like, today, and as we look forward into the next 10 years.
What's the challenge? You've raised some money, you've got some sales, you've got some forward momentum. What are some trip points, and how do you avoid them?
Well, number one, when you're growing as fast as we are, it's hard for us to find labor.
Yeah.
Especially when you read the news and you look at what our unemployment rates are like. It's hard to get people to get down and really want to work, and we're using a couple of different partner companies to help us find labor, whether it's
staffing
companies. Typically we hire most of our people through a staffing company. That's probably the biggest challenge we've had right now. The second biggest challenge, is it's really just reacting to the speed of change. When you're in a big Fortune 500 company, things move slowly. We're kind of creating market space every day, and so things change quickly, and a lot of people can't really handle that.
So what stops me from buying GoLocal wear through you guys? Can
funny you say
corporate
that.
go in and
Absolutely.
start to buy?
We started this thing geared towards teams, and
Right.
so you go in and you click and you're like, oh, okay, it's hockey.
Because you have way better, cooler stuff than most of the corporate apparel swag.
So we're finding right now that about 15% of our lockers, we call them team lockers,
Yeah.
which is basically an e-commerce store, are being opened by businesses.
Right.
So much so that we've kind of put a team together to study whether that needs to be its own thing or if it can
Needs
just
to
live
be its own thing.
inside of Squad Locker.
Frank, it needs to be its
Yeah.
own thing. Yeah, no, I think you're leaving a lot of money on the table.
Probably we are. What's happening is a person like you who's
Yep.
got a daughter or son who plays lacrosse, who
Yep.
experienced our process,
Yep.
says, oh, I'd like to put some GoLocal gear together.
Absolutely.
Let me open a store. So
I think I was
that
one of
happens
your
every day.
very first beta people to look at your very first store about 2-3 years ago.
I would say that you were, yes.
Building, you guys are experienced, and you come from a family that has experience in apparel. Obviously, with the complete breakdown, the news out of Sears today, the idea that Sears could go out of business 20 years ago would be heresy. No one would believe you.
Yeah.
But Sears is now in bankruptcy. The entire retail world is in transformation. There's some argument whether or not it's stabilized. Well, it may have only stabilized because the economy is so strong. Next recession, it's going to transform again. What are the other opportunities for you guys? And in the case of an Amazon, who's a little bit of a competitor to some degree, they don't do exactly what you do, they've now started to think about brick and mortar. Is there a place for brick and mortar? Could there be the Squad Locker sort of premium store in New York City at Times Square or in,
It's funny, we think about that.
Yeah.
And you can't rule things out. You can't, to your point, I remember I was in grad school when Walmart had its first $1 billion day, and
Right.
thinking about what that would look like 20 years from now. And I remember, I read an article a year or two ago about the end of Amazon, and it was so silly to read because they're still growing
Right.
at these rates. But companies tend to have an existence. I think in intermediate, I look at potential for maybe a Squad Locker embed into an environment such as that.
Yeah.
Frankly, we think we have Amazon's not really looking directly at this space because they can't deliver it in 2 hours.
Yeah, right.
If you think about what they're doing, everything they're doing with stores and delivery and putting their own fleet of trucks out there. But if they could, they would.
If I order at 4 o'clock today, when can I get it?
So if you ordered Under Armour Locker Tee, which is like the #1 product we sell, it comes in every color and every size. We stock it in every color and every size. And it's an existing store. That means that we don't have to do upfront artwork.
Yep.
You will, if that's the only thing you ordered, that will be probably in production in the 3rd day from today and shipped on the 4th.
So I'd have it in 5-6 days at the worst.
And we're actually looking at an expedited freight program right now that FedEx has just offered, which could really game change for us for West Coast.
Drones?
Close. 2-day select, 2-day air freight they have 3 different size boxes for a fixed rate. So $9.95 to West Coast in 2 days, that kind of thing.
Who's your biggest customer?
That's an interesting question. No single customer of ours makes up more than 1% of our sales.
There's no youth soccer program in California that orders 400,000.
There's not, but I mean, we have some good relationships, and we're developing what I would call our enterprise model, which is, you know, we were built from day one 3 years ago to store specific. So the coach, the athletic director for a store.
Right.
When you go into, I'll give you an example, a local example is St. George's, which is
Sure.
you know, Rhode Island prep school. We do their whole campus, and it's all the athletics, all the union student body, it's all of that stuff.
Yeah.
We're building, integrating our platform so that that type of management can be done under one roof, as opposed to 9 little stores.
Yeah, that's great, because that parent who doesn't live in Rhode Island wants to be able to buy
Absolutely.
Tommy or Ginger or whatever the name is, all the apparel known to mankind. It's great. It's great to see the success and the growth. It's exciting to watch. Let's get you back here in a few months and
Absolutely.
get another update, and maybe we'll come down and visit you guys and do a live down there
Yeah,
at some
bring your
point in the
cameras.
future.
It'll be fun.
That'd be
I think
great.
people would be interested to see it.
Appreciate it. See right here, I want to thank Frank Tillinghouse from Squad Locker, Warwick-based company on the fast track, super growth, and a very interesting business model. And anytime you're in the retail apparel world, it's always rock and roll. We'll be back at the 4 o'clock hour. I've got Gary Sass coming on and Saul Kaplan from Business Innovation Factory. We'll be back then. Want to thank everybody for tuning in, and thank both Mike and Frank for appearing today. We'll be back at 4 o'clock. Thanks so much.